Hey everyone, it's Sanni. This is going to be my bridal makeup tutorial. Congratulations from the bottom of my heart if you're getting married this summer. I love weddings. I am privileged enough to work in a lot of weddings as a makeup artist, so I get to see some of the most beautiful weddings here in Paris. It's just incredible. It's like mind-blowing. I just love working in weddings. It is an honor to be part of somebody's really very special day. But so this makeup tutorial will be for a very kind of classic bridal look. Now it is becoming trendier to do like a red lip or like a pin-up type makeup or go for really smoky eyes. But I wanted to do a tutorial on my kind of most loved classic bridal beauty. And by that I mean so that it's very photo ready, so that you know you're going to photograph beautifully, and also just kind of accentuating the bride's features. So the eyes are actually quite light but defined so that they'll, you know, photograph great. I'm wearing some fake lashes. These are strip lashes, but you can also wear individuals. And then just everything is defined but soft, so that you kind of like, you want the look to be quite timeless, because you want to be able to look at yourself and the wedding photos in 10 years time and not go, oh my god, what was I thinking? So you need to be like a timeless classic beauty, I would say. And I'm also going to do another bridal tutorial, hopefully actually shoot it tomorrow morning, and it'll be more about being a makeup artist at a wedding. So the kit that I pack, what I bring with me, and also the things that you don't think about, like, you know, you might end up, if it's a big wedding, the photographers usually arrive when the bride is getting ready, so your nails will end up being in pictures, and what you wear, you might end up being in the background, and you don't want to be the person that ruins a beautiful, beautiful shot. So, you know, stuff that I pay attention to when I'm going to do a wedding. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to get started with this bridal tutorial. So I'm going to start off with priming. First I'm going to use my Kiehls #1 lip balm. I never ever do a wedding without this. This is the best lip balm. So I apply a crazy amount when I start doing the makeup, and then by the time I get to the lips, it'll be all soaked in. And this really cures dry lips. Then for a face primer, I tend to favor Laura Mercier primers. This one is Radiance, the standard, and also the oil-free. I'm going to use the Radiance one on myself today. You choose the primer depending on kind of the result you want to achieve, and also if your bride has oily or oily skin, dull skin, normal skin. Also a little bit on the weather. So if it was a really hot day, I would be using the oil-free one on myself as well. I tend to stay away from primers with an SPF for a wedding. And then also I'm going to prime my eyelids. I'm using the TooFaced Shadow Insurance. And I go all over the eyelid. I also go into the inner corner and a little bit just close to the lash line under. Also, if the bride has not slept very well, which does happen, I tend to use Kiehls Facial Fuel ID Puffer. This is actually a product for men, but it works so well on women, and it sinks right in and it just depuffs the under eyes. It's also very cooling, so it actually feels quite nice. After priming, I actually tend to do the eyes first on bridal makeup, so I'm gonna follow what I normally do. I'm starting off with the Illamasqua Cream Pigment in Hollow, and I'm just applying it with my finger all over the eyelid. This gives beautiful kind of even base, helps your eyeshadow to last and intensifies the colors. I'm then taking Delirium by Illamasqua as well, and my Tom Ford 103 brush, and I'm going to apply this in the outer, I would say, outer half of the eye. This is a beautiful mauvey color. You could do this with a finger as well. I just like a little bit more precision at this point, so I'm using a brush. I often use Maybelline's Toughest Taupe, the Maybelline Color Tattoo for this as well. So I have to put together a bridal palette of the bridal colors that I use the most, and this is by Bobbi Brown. I also use a lot of matte colors for brides, but I'm going to be using these colors now. I'll list below all of the shades that I have put in the palette. I'm not going to be using all of them, but we are going to start off with, the mirror is huge in this. I'm going to try and not like blind you guys. We're going to start off with Shell, and this would be equivalent to, I don't know, vanilla and kind of brulee vanilla type thing. And I am using a MAC 217, and I'm just doing kind of my brow bone and down to the crease. And I also take it to kind of like the bridge of the nose. Now I'm just going to keep using the same brush, and I'm going to move on to Wheat, which is this one here, and it is a kind of a medium beigey color. It's not really cool or warm, and I'm going to do the eyelid with this all the way up to the crease. I'm then going to take Heather, which is a beautiful kind of grey mauvey color, and a clean 217, and we're going to start on the crease. So if you're doing this on yourself, look straight in the mirror, and I'm going just above the crease. And if you're doing it on a bride, ask them to keep their eyes open while you kind of check for the placement of it. And then I'm just going to pull it back to the eyelid. And just keep blending it and keep working on the shape. I'm then moving on to Smoke, which is the darkest color on this palette, and I'm using the Inglot 10S brush. And this is just going to be the outer V. So essentially you're doing the same shape as you just did, but a little bit more controlled and a little bit smaller. And take the same brush you used before with that Heather and just blend it out. So do a couple of layers like this. And as you'll notice, I'm not taking the shadow wildly, kind of like, I'm not really pulling the eye out too much, because in my opinion, bridal makeup is not really about changing you and changing your eye shape that much. It's more about just making you look and feel the prettiest ever. I'm then taking that Heather and a MAC pencil brush, and I'm just running it along the lower lash line, not too far. I'm kind of going maybe halfway in. And just blend it slowly into nothing. Actually, I'm going 2/3 of the way in. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that Smoke and just do the very, very outer corner on the lower lash line as well. This would be like the outer third, and just connect it all to the top shadow as well. I'm then going to take my TooFaced three-way liner, and I'm going to do the upper lash line
If I was lining the waterline black, I would just line it all at the same time. But because with this, I won't be, really depends on the bride. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but we're leaving this look a bit fresher. So all I'm doing is just accentuating the lash line. And I'm going to use one coat of Clinique's, what is this called? HIgh Impact Curling Mascara. I'm not curling my lashes right now because I'm going to be using fake lashes, strip lashes. If I was using individuals, I would curl the lashes first. This is one of my all-time favorite mascaras for brides because it is tear-proof, sweat-proof, rain-proof, but it comes off easily with warm water, so your bride is not stuck with like panda eyes if they don't have any waterproof eye makeup remover. I'm going to use MAC Fluidline and blacktrack and my angled liner brush. This is just going to be a very quick first line before the lashes go on. So it isn't really as important to get it exactly as precise. What's more important is that you get the liner right into the roots of the lashes. I'm not going to be winging it out at this point because after the lashes are on, we're going to see exactly how much we want to wing it out. I'm then going to use some Katy Perry Ooh Honey fake lashes. These are beautiful bridal lashes, but there is no rules when it comes to bridal lashes. A lot of brides prefer individuals because they're the most discreet, but then some brides want double lashes or really long ones. So it really depends on your own eye shape and also kind of the impact you want to create. So I'm going to be using these. So holding the lashes with tweezers, I have used duo lash glue and I've let it dry for about 30 seconds. I place the middle first, then the outer edge, and then the inner corner. And with this, don't rush with putting the lashes on, just take your time. And then I flip the tweezers over and I just press the lashes down. I do it with my fingers as well. Then while the eyelashes dry, I'm going to use some Pink Pearl as my mid-eyelid highlight. Now what I like to do is I'm going to take some Fix Plus, spray it on my hand so that the back of my hand is wet, and I'm taking, this is a Louise Young number 18 brush, and I just kind of wet it in the Fix Plus, then I dip it into the Pink Pearl, and then I'm just going to very lightly pat in the middle of my eyelid. This color for this kind of mid-lid highlight is absolutely perfect because when you spray it with a little bit of Fix Plus and you pat it on, and then when the bride naturally kind of blinks, it blends a little bit, but it's not too fly away, so that it doesn't, you know, go all over the place, but it does blend a little bit, so the edges become quite soft and beautiful after, I don't know, 10 minutes. I'm going back to the eyeliner and I'm just going to cover the tracks of the fake lashes. If you're using individual ones, you really don't need to do this, but I'm going to cover where the fake lashes meet my eyelid. And also now I can better kind of see where I'm going to end the liner, depending on the kind of the length and the where the fake lashes lie. I'm then taking some Bioderma and a Q-tip, and I'm going to wet one end of the Q-tip, and then I'm going to go on my inner lash line first with that. This is just to really clean it, and then I'm going to do the dry edge next. This is just to prepare my eyes for Beryl, Chanel's Beryl liner. And it's good that you kind of dry it out as well. And then you just line the inner lash line with this. I'm absolutely so in love with this line. Another coat of mascara. I'm going to do both upper and lower lashes. I think it's nice to put a little bit of mascara on fake lashes because it combines your own fake lashes with your own lashes, and also it makes them look just that tiny bit less fake. Next I'm going to move on to foundation. I really like the primer to sit on the skin for as long as possible so it really kind of sinks in before you put on the foundation. And also this way, if there's any fallout, it's easy to correct. So I'm going to show you the my most used, four foundations that I use on brides. Now if the bride has very oily skin, I really like Makeup Forever's Matte Velvet. All of these have no sunscreen at all, which is really important so that there won't be any flashback, because this will be probably the most photographed day of your life. So I really like Matte Velvet for brides with quite oily skin, or if it's a very hot day. Then if someone only needs very light coverage, I tend to use MAC Face and Body. I love this foundation. This is, I feel like a lot of makeup artists use these, but like in the general public, it's just so underrated. This is an amazing foundation, really buildable. And if somebody's got great skin, this is the first one that I reach for, because you can make a very sheer kind of glow with this, and it really lasts forever. And these two are quite similar, and I use both the Illamasqua Skin Base and the Mercier Silk Creme foundation. These I would use, so if the client has dry to normal to combination skin, very oily, I reach for the Matte Velvet. But these are very similar as they give great coverage. They photograph amazingly well. The Silk Creme covers a little bit more than my mind went blank, Skin Base, but both amazing foundations. And I think I'm going to use the Silk Creme today, because this probably is, that's the foam. So this is literally as much as you need. This is probably too much. And I'm just using my MAC foundation brush, and what I do is I kind of very haphazardly put it on my skin. I don't like really pay too much attention at this point. I just kind of try and get the color everywhere. And then I take my MAC 187 and then I just really blend it and buff it in. I can't tell you how beautifully like this foundation photographs. It's just amazing. I'm then taking some concealer. This is a kind of a professional palette. It's Dermacolour, and I think this is medium. It doesn't say anywhere. It's a medium palette probably. I know that I'm a D7, and I'm taking a MAC 224, and I'm just going to conceal a couple of blemishes. I love this palette because it's really inexpensive. It's great for if you're starting out. For the under eyes, I'm using Touche Veloutee by byTerry. This is my favorite, and I'm going to mix 1 and 2. For myself, that's kind of like the color combination I like. So I tend to just mix it on the back of my hand. I use these as highlighters, under the eyes, everything. And I'm taking the Sigma, this is the P84 angled brush, and I'm just going to run this under the eyes, and now I'm kind of like cleaning up everything as well around the eye makeup. Now before I powder, I'm going to contour a little bit. I'm using the same Illamasqua Delirium, and I am using a Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, and I'm just going to contour lightly under my cheekbones. With brides, I tend to do very slight contouring, and I prefer kind of to do it with either like a cream product like this, or sometimes even with kind of dark concealer, because I'm not big on tons of bronzer on brides. And then just go under. If you want to contour the nose, I am going to do a contouring video soon. I wouldn't use this for that. I would use a kind of a more skin toned one, but for cheeks it's brilliant. I'm going to do the first layer of blush. I'm using the Bobbi Brown Pale Pink Cream Blush, and I'm actually going to use the same brush that we used to blend the foundation, because it already has a tiny bit of foundation on it. This actually will blend the blush beautifully. I tend to layer cream and powder blushes unless it's super, super hot on brides. I love a cream blush. It's just so flattering. I'm using the Laura Mercier loose setting powder and my Inglot 4SS brush, and I always tend to start under the eyes, and first I pat it on before I start kind of brushing, and then I go around the nose, and whoop, that was a little bit too much, and also on the T-zone. So I really kind of pat it in first, and then I use more sweeping motions to blend it. If the bride has oily skin, I'll powder the whole face. If not, I will just do the middle of the face. Very important to do around the nose. And then I leave kind of like the perimeter of the face without powder, because that really gives beautiful sheen in the photographs. Taking NARS Douceur, I use this almost on every bride, and my Bobbi Brown blush brush, and I am just going to kind of go from where we did the contouring upwards. This is a very, very neutral, beautiful blush. And again, a little bit under the chin. And this blush is actually great to use around the hairline as well if you're not using bronzer. I will add the hintest faint of bronzer. This is the Dior Skin Nude in number 2. I'm just going to keep using the same brush. As a highlight, I'm using the Illamasqua Gleam in Aurora. I'm going to use it with my contour brush, and I'm highlighting the tops of the cheekbones. This is one of my absolutely all-time favorite highlighters. It's just an amazing product, and it really stays put as well. And I tend to do just the bridge of the nose here, not the tip, just kind of like the bridge of the nose, and off that your cupid's bow. Then we're going to finish off the eyes. I'm going to brush my brows down, and I'm going to use MAC's Omega just to softly follow the shape of the brow. Brows really can change your face quite considerably, so don't, you know, play around with correct the shape a little bit, but don't change it too much for bridal makeup. Or you kind of wonder 5 years later, it's like, who is that? And I'm just going to set the brow with my MAC brow set. This is in Beguiled. Then I'm going to do a final highlight using Pink Pearl, and this is going to be for the inner corner of the eye and also just under, just so that the cameras will catch the light. I'm going to stick with fairly neutral lips. Now in my palette, on this side I have a lot of kind of rosy neutrals, and probably some of the most popular bridal colors are Bobbi Brown Sandwash Tulle, MAC's Modesty, and also if the bride wants a slightly pinkier color, I go a lot with Trish McAvoy's Vibrant Pink, and also if the bride wants kind of like very neutral pinky lips, Max Cream Cup is great. I think I'm going to go with Modesty though, because that's definitely my most used bridal colour. And I'm going to line my lips with Ben Nye Mahogany Lip Liner. I love Ben Nye lip liners. And it was actually a bride that first got me into these. It was her own lip liner. So I'm just lining my lips. And I blend the liner a little bit. This is the Real Techniques detailer brush. So I kind of blend it into the lips. And then I'm going to take Modesty, which is this colour, and just fill in the lips. I'm actually going to take a little bit of MAC Hue, which is a slightly lighter colour, and just pop it in the centre of the lips. I don't always use gloss on brides, but if I do, I'll use something fairly kind of neutral, like this Dior Lip Maximizer Collagen Active. This is basically completely clear, but I'll use the tiniest amount and only kind of in the center of the lips. So that's the look finished. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. One thing I always tell brides to pack with them when they, just before I leave them is blotting papers, their lipstick, of course, lipstick and lip liner if they have them, and yeah, a tiny little vial of eyelash glue if you're using strip lashes, because there's nothing worse than, your great auntie gives you a big hug, half of the lash kind of pulls off, and you're stranded for the rest of the wedding with like an eyelash flapping about. So bring a small tiny vial, like one of those mini ones that come with a lot of lashes with you. But once again, congratulations if you're getting married this summer, and thank you so much for watching, and please comment below and let me know of your experiences with bridal makeup, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!